So, listen. Nintendo hasn't even officially launched the Switch 2 yet, but it's already stirring up conversations left and right. And not just your average, oh, a new console's coming talk. I'm talking full-on disbelief from folks who've seen it in action. Hands-on impressions, game demos, and behind-closed-door previews are dropping jaws, and not just because of Nintendo's typical magic. No, people are actually confused, like wait, how is this game even running on a handheld? That kind of confused. And while we're still months, maybe even longer from launch, the Switch 2 is already shaping up to be one of the most surprising pieces of gaming hardware in recent memory. Today, we're diving into everything from the hardware specs, what we know so far, what's happening behind the scenes with NVIDIA, the chip powering it all, and yeah, that whole "is the Switch 2 stronger than a PS4?" debate that's been heating up online. So hit that like button if you're hyped about the future of Nintendo, subscribe if you're new, and let's get into it. Okay, so here's the funny part. Nintendo has shown off a bunch of games running on the Switch 2 already. We've seen performance that clearly looks next-gen compared to the current Switch, but when it comes to the actual chip inside this thing, they're keeping it real vague. Like, real vague. On their spec sheet, all they say is, custom processor made by NVIDIA. That's it. That's the whole description. Nothing about clock speeds, core counts, power limits, nada. But, thanks to shipping data and some good old-fashioned internet sleuthing, shout out to places like Famaboards and Eurogamer, we've got a decent idea of what's under the hood. The Switch 2 seems to be powered by the T239, a custom NVIDIA SoC that's based on their Ampere architecture. And let me tell you, that's a massive leap over the original Switch's Tegra X1. Now let's talk about something Nintendo actually did reveal. The display. Because this might be the unsung hero of the whole device. We're looking at a 7.9-inch wide color gamut LCD, 1920 by 1080 resolution, HDR10 support, and up to 120Hz refresh rate with VRR. And I know, some folks were hoping for OLED out of the gate, especially those who've been spoiled by the Switch OLED model. But trust me, this LCD panel is no slouch. VRR and 120Hz in a mainstream handheld is a big deal. For a lot of people, this will be their first time experiencing variable refresh rate gaming, no screen tearing, smoother animations, and just overall a way more polished visual experience. And let's be real here, Nintendo's going to drop an OLED version mid-gen. You know it. I know it. It's coming. But let's go back to that NVIDIA chip for a sec. Even though Nintendo's quiet about the specs, NVIDIA's over on their own blog hyping up DLSS, ray tracing, and AI-powered features. Yeah, this thing's got RT cores and tensor cores, meaning we're looking at real-time ray tracing, AI upscaling with DLSS, and even things like AI face tracking and background removal for in-game video chat. Imagine something like video chat in a Mario Party game where it can remove your background like a green screen. That's where we're headed. And DLSS is a huge win. It allows developers to render games at lower resolutions, but still output super sharp images. That means games can look great without having to brute force 4K natively. Perfect for a power-limited handheld. Now, based on leaked documentation and tracking data, here's where things land. An 8-core ARM A78C CPU, GPU clocks reportedly around 1 GHz docked and 560 MHz in handheld mode. Again, not 100% confirmed, but this aligns with what people are seeing at events. But the big game changer? Memory bandwidth. The original Switch, around 25 GB per second. Switch 2, it's rumored to have quadruple that, up to 102 GB per stocked and 68 GB since handheld. That's a massive jump, and it means way less stuttering, way better open-world performance, and way more freedom for developers. Now we gotta talk about that spicy debate. Is the Switch 2 stronger than the PS4? Honestly? Yeah, it kinda looks like it is. Let's look at Cyberpunk 2077, Phantom Liberty. CD Projekt Red flat out said they weren't bringing it to PS4. Too much for the system to handle. But here it is, running on Switch 2 at a private demo. Same with Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade. Visually enhanced, running clean, and yes, reportedly looking better than the PS4 version. Of course, PS5 is still on another level. especially in terms of raw horsepower. You'll see Switch 2 games target 30 or 40 FPS instead of 60, depending on whether you're docked or handheld. But with DLSS and VRR smoothing it all out, it still looks really good. And that's where Nintendo's genius shines. It's not about matching PS5 or Xbox Series X, it's about reaching that good enough point with better portability, better efficiency, and way more accessibility. Oh, and we've got to bring the Steam Deck into this too. The comparisons are inevitable. But here's the twist. The Steam Deck pulls up to 15 watts in handheld mode. The Switch 2, it's expected to run closer to 7.5 watts. So when we see it matching or even outperforming the Steam Deck in certain demos like Star Wars Outlaws, that's wild. We're looking at a system that's not just powerful, it's efficient. Developers can optimize directly for it, while the Steam Deck is more brute force. So what's the takeaway here? The Switch 2 is already blowing past expectations, and we're still in the early days. Once devs have spent a year or two getting cozy with the hardware, learning its quirks, its sweet spots, its potential, we could see some seriously impressive stuff. GTA 6? I mean, look, it's a stretch, but after seeing what this chip can do, I wouldn't rule anything out anymore. From where I'm standing, the Switch 2 is poised to punch way above its weight class for years to come. Between DLSS, ray tracing, AI features, and that slick 1080p 120Hz display, this is shaping up to be one of the most exciting console generations in a long time. But hey, what do you think? Is the Switch 2 blowing your mind so far, or were you expecting this kind of leap all along? Drop your thoughts down below. What third-party games are you hoping make the jump? And do you think the Switch 2's going to go toe-to-toe with the Steam Deck long-term? Thanks for hanging out with me. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on those notifications for more deep dives like this one. I'll catch you in the next one.